And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and as always, this is our power rankings for Major League Rugby after week 7. So, 7 weeks in the book of what has been a very exciting 2023 season, especially this week. This week has seen some really exciting and close games. Now, I'll start with a little caveat because of personal life and things that have come in my life for this last week. I was unfortunately unable to watch every Major League Rugby game this week. I always pride myself, especially with my power rankings, to have watched every game, not just basing performances purely on scoreboards, but to actually watch the game, to see the performances on the pitch. Because again, my power rankings are not based off of win-loss records. It really is how you perform on the pitch, who your opponent was, where you guys played, how well the game was. Was it really that close? Was it really a blowout? Was it really a close game? All of that comes into a factor with these power rankings. But unfortunately, I was not able to watch every game. I was only able to watch one game, which was a good one. It was the NOLA Gold Seattle Seawolves game. But I'm going to still base these power rankings on synopsis, little highlights that I've seen. I will make it a point to watch all those games that I missed, as well as keep track of the games that are coming up. So I got a lot of rugby to watch, which is not a bad thing at all. But again, my power rankings are going to be based a little bit more on the scoreboard, which I'm trying not to do. But if anything kind of changes, or if I feel like there's kind of things I have to make up for in the next power rankings, I will do that. So, with that being said, we have hit a momentous occasion with the beginning of our power rankings as the two teams on the bottom faced off against each other. And for the first time in franchise history, this has been a long time coming, everybody's second favorite team, the Dallas Jackals, have finally won their first franchise victory. All the more sweeter that it was done in Choctaw Stadium against the number 12 team, the Toronto Arrows, solidifying the fact that Toronto should now be in the bottom of the rankings because they did lose to Dallas Jackals, and the Dallas Jackals finally got their first win in franchise history. Congratulations to the Dallas Jackals. Long time coming, obviously. I'm sure they are very happy as well. The game was close again. I didn't see it. It was 14-11 Dallas Jackals. So it wasn't by any means a blowout. It was apparently very competitive till the very end. But Dallas was able to pull it off. So congratulations to Dallas. Obviously, with that win, I don't feel they have any means to move up any further because they did beat the lowest ranking team barely. So both teams stay where they are, but it does kind of solidify the fact that Toronto stays at the bottom. Dallas is number 11. Also staying at the bottom is the new kids on the block, the Chicago Hounds, who are number 10 this week, same as last week, losing to the Houston SaberCats 38-21. Again, did not see the game, but scoreboard, it looks like it's pretty much a blowout, pretty much a dominant performance by the Houston SaberCats, who have been looking very strong this season. Moving down a spot to the number 9 spot, Rugby ATL, who lost to their opponents, the reigning defending MLR champions, Rugby New York Ironworkers. Again, the score was 31-20. Didn't see the game. Rugby ATL looks like they have been struggling this season, so they finally dropped down to the bottom spot, allowing New York to move up. But before we get to New York, the team that also slid down a couple spots, which is to me really disappointing, Old Glory DC, moving down from number 6 to number 8 after their loss to San Diego. Granted, San Diego, one of the top teams in the league overall, but losing 26-48, kind of a lopsided loss. Again, didn't watch that game, but a little disappointed with Old Glory DC, as I felt Old Glory going into the season would be one of the dominant teams in the Eastern Conference. Right now, they have been struggling quite a bit. Granted, again, I did predict that the Western Conference would be the stronger conference, and they so far are doing that, pretty much beating their Eastern counterparts in almost every game that they played. Old Glory falling to a Western team in the case of the San Diego Legion. Moving up a couple of spots, your reigning defending MLR champions, the New York Ironworkers, going from number 9 up to number 7 after coming back from a couple of bad losses to defeat Rugby ATL 31-20. So they're slowly making their way back up the rankings again. Didn't see that game. Moving down a spot in a game that was very, very close. 25-20, 24-26. The New England Free Jacks losing to, again, another team that's kind of surging as well, the Utah Warriors. Didn't see that game. I'll try to watch that game tonight because it sounds very exciting. But again, showing once again, Western Conference showing their class against the Eastern Conference counterparts. New England Free Jacks sliding down a spot to number 6. Moving up a couple of spots is the team that beat them, the Utah Warriors. From what I understand, this was a come-from-behind victory. Came down to a penalty kick by Joel Hodgson, which allowed and sealed the victory to 24-26. Utah has been streaky, but they've been finding some solidity. That's not even a word. Some consistency. That's the word. And I've been very impressed with their season so far. Kudos to Utah for the win. In a heartbreaker of a game, I saw this one. The hottest team so far in the league, the NOLA Gold, losing a heartbreaker to the Seattle Seawolves. 35-36, 1 point difference. I mean, this game is a game of two halves, which is what has been kind of consistent in Major League Rugby. First half, NOLA Gold on fire, though they gave up an easy, probably the quickest try in the leagues in the season so far. Connor Mooneyham, former top draft pick by the Austin Gilgronis, now with the Seattle Seawolves, scored literally 5 seconds within the first half. He scored so quickly that even the timer on the telecast didn't even start yet. It was a pretty impressive, but after that, it was all New Orleans. New Orleans ended up being ahead at halftime, 21-10. And even though in the second half they scored with an early penalty try, all of a sudden Seattle remembered who they were and they came back with 3 tries straight away to end up pulling off the victory. Granted, NOLA had a chance to come back at the very end, but Seattle's seawall defense kiboshed it. Very impressive win by Seattle, but a really strong performance by NOLA. Just unfortunately, after the first half, weren't able to pull it up when Seattle, showing their class, were able to, sealing the fact that Seattle is still my favorite to go into the Major League Rugby Championship and to go all the way. Your number 1, 2, and 3 are pretty much the same as last week because of wins by them. Houston SaberCats, who defeated the Chicago Hounds, San Diego, who defeated Old Glory, and then, as before mentioned, Seattle Seawolves defeating NOLA. Because the game was so close, I did not feel good to have NOLA slide, so they stayed at number 4. But man, again, if you look at the top 5, 4 out of the 5 teams from the Western Conference, and then the Eastern Conference kind of bringing up the bottom, your 2 struggling teams from the Western Conference are the ones sitting at the bottom. But man, it is looking like a very, very, very dominant Western Conference, as I mentioned before. And next week is going to be a really, really fun, important, crucial game as the number 1, number 2 teams collide, continue the rivalry between the Seattle Seawolves and the San Diego Legion. As always, I would love to hear your comments on what you feel about my power rankings, who you feel your rankings should be. I know some people were a little upset about Toronto being so far on the bottom, but now this game between Dallas and Toronto kind of proved it. I still stand by the fact that Dallas will have one more win under their cap. Considering they only get to play Toronto once, I'm not 100% sure who that win's going to come for, especially with NOLA being as good as they are. Maybe Rugby ATL, we'll see. But I still do believe that Dallas will end the season with at least 2 wins. But congratulations again to the Dallas Jackals for their first win in franchise history. Now, let's go over our Super Brew Pick'em results, which, again, guys, I've been struggling. I'm embarrassed to say it. Luckily, I'm not at the bottom, but it's been a very rough season for me. Let's go over this week's results. Bam. And congratulations, look who's back. Don't call it a comeback. Your reigning Super Brew Rugby411 Pick'em champions all day long with the golden cap. It's been a while since I've had to mention his name. Coming at the top, 11.33. Very impressive victory. Coming in second, MSDRFC 83, Matt, 10.5. The Reviewer 812 popping back up with 9.83. Python Man, I believe that might be correct, 9.5. Harry with 9, rounding out the top 5. Unfortunately, my good buddy Frisco Flame coming in at the bottom with the wooden spoon in number 3. Now, because of those results, the top results for the overall results kind of changed. Bam! As you see, MSDRFC 83 is solely in first with a pretty good lead now with 52.33 points. So congratulations to you, Matt, holding steady at number 1. Moving up a spot. Go Coop, man. USA League and Union Rugby fan moving up 1 spot to second place, 47.33. Though that gap is still kind of wide between him and Matt. We'll see. It's still early in the season. Plenty of more rugby to play. Falling a couple of spots is ST Cal Guy with 46.83 points. Going up a couple of spots because of his good performance this week. Harry, 44.33. And then sitting at number 5, staying there, Jahigo, 43.99. Unfortunately, Brandon B-Dog is still at the bottom with 20 because he came in a little late. But it's still not the end for you, sir. We still have a lot of rugby left, as I mentioned before. And those are our results. So again, apologies that I wasn't able to watch all the games, so I can't really go into too much review and too much depth of the results. I'm going more on the scoreboard, which I try not to do. But like I told you guys, because I've done this before, I'm going to make sure to watch all those games eventually. So we'll be able to catch up with everything, and I'm still going to be watching the games for this upcoming week. So again, a lot of rugby to watch, which is never a bad thing. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Comment below on what you think of my power rankings, and as always, I'll see you on the pitch.